America's favorite holiday is afoot once again. It's Zero RB Friday here on Splash Play, where the promise is to not draft a running back, especially because I'm already in a draft room and I don't have the 101 picks. So I don't have to draft Christian McCaffrey. We have to figure it out today. Have to cobble together one more good team to close out May. And I got to take off this fucking Chiron here in my 89th streamed draft of 2024. Of course, already in a draft. I'm flustered too. I mentioned on the probably video I just did about an hour ago. Our kid's moving up in daycare, which is good news. Very excited for him. Very excited for him to be smart enough to move up a class. The bad news, this little guy's losing his two best friends who are not moving up with him yet. So I'm like a little sad, a little bit concerned as well about how that's going to go. But we'll see. We'll figure it out next week. But definitely one of those things as a parent that you're like, holy crap, I now have pangs of anxiety over my child freaking the F out come Monday about being in a class of older kids and not seeing his buddies there. So we'll figure it out here, but that doesn't matter. We have a holiday. It's Zero RB Friday, so we're going to get it going today. Of course, lots to talk about as always in the NFL. The biggest news in the world of football, Audric Estime had to get a knee scope, so he's out until the start of training camp. He'll be full go then is the good news. And I guess the good news, it'll kind of stabilize Audric Estime's price tag where he could still be a bailout running back you take in these zero RB kind of builds that we do here on Splash Play. You can still take him in the 18th, 17th round. He's not going to move up more. But that's sad for me. Anytime my guys get hurt now, we talked about last year with Kendre Miller, anything that puts you behind the eight ball, anything that makes it harder for you to earn reps, to earn trust, earn all the little nonsense things you have to do to get the workload, to get the high value touches on a football team. It's never a good thing. So that's the downer, but we'll figure it out, of course, as we always do here on Splash Play. GMs, indeed. Many GMs abound. Appreciate all you guys being here live, of course. Starting usually around 11 a.m. I mean, I'm starting at 11 a.m. and around 11 a.m. every day, but I come in when the draft room fills and start my stream. Of course, new drafts on Saturday as well, even though today will be the formal end of the week for our Underdog drafting. Tomorrow we'll be hopping into the world of drafters, which Underdog, I thought they were doing something gracious by not aping drafters format. Instead, no, they did the exact same price point, slightly smaller prize for the first place of the Underdog version there. The Marathon is the new tournament, but they are doing the drafters thing as well. Still not full point PPRs. That is the biggest difference there between drafters and Underdog. I think Javonte McLaughlin move up with Estime news. They shouldn't. I mean, I guess it makes it a little bit harder for Estime to win the role now, but he wasn't going to win the role now anyway, so that's the trade-off. So Bijan at pick 8, I would not mind normally, but it's Zero RB Friday, so we'll get a share of Puka Nacua, and we will see what kicks back to us after the turn. Have to assume in most rooms you're not going to get Marvin Harrison back when you are taking Puka at the 8th spot. But who knows? Dare to dream here. We're really make me happy if nothing else. But as we know, these Underdog rooms do not exist to make me happy. And if anything, might exist at the exact opposite. That's how that goes. But you know what I don't do? I don't tilt and start drafting D Mornay, Pearson, L. That's my promise here. No matter how tilted I get in the draft, I don't start taking UFL players. That's the one rule of thumb we have here. Yes, they'll be full go for camp, so that's really, it shouldn't affect anybody, but knowing how markets go, knowing how people do not have diamond hands in the world of defining best ball markets, it is something where perhaps you could see a brief window where McLaughlin or Javonte move up. I personally wouldn't buy that, but you know my takes on that by now. All right, let's keep going here. We'll see what we have around the turn. Have I won a basketball contest? Have you won one, Chris? I put up the fucking Chiron at the beginning of the video saying I'm a 4-time finalist. You can surmise out of that what you want. But no, I just instead do the work here on video. You're only going to make fucking Harrison at 12. God damn it. You're only going to make one final every 10 years. I'm lucky enough to have made 4. That's the big test here. Winning a BBM is great. If you want to follow somebody who's going to brand the shit of themselves a BBM champion, go check out Liam's channel. And I instead just do the work here every day and actually give out good takes. So choose what you want, Chris. But I like fuck off though at the same time. Speaking of people who don't know things, talking about things, Justin McMahon put out a tweet asking for people to give some nice feedback about who gives the best player takes in the biz. And I appreciated a few guys there chiming in, giving me the at mention on that one. Turns out that old Justin just wants to sell his player takes as a book of some sort. So that's everything in this fucking business is a grift, guys. It's really the main thing that I see the more that I exist in it every day. And ultimately, that's why I just like to draft sick teams. Devontae Adams, Chris Olave. Hey, Chris, go fuck yourself. I'm banning you immediately. I don't fucking need that shit. Fucking F-bomb you. Devontae Adams, Chris Olave. Two picks that would correlate for week 17. It'd be nice to have them together. I kind of want to buy Olave a little bit more. Just think I'm blind to him because of the fact that he hasn't broken out the way I'd like to see. But Olave, to me, he sometimes goes the 1-2 turn. Don't think you should go there, but I do think if I'm getting him at 17, at a certain point, I need to take more Devontae Adams. I think I'm just a little bit less into Adams because I don't know who to stack him with. Minshew and Aiden O'Connell right now competing for that job. Aiden O'Connell getting some positive talk from the coaches there. They're comparing to Kirk Cousins in terms of his accuracy, which I certainly didn't see last year, but maybe there's a chance that he could be better, making that year 1 to year 2 leap. I think that Minshew is the better play at QB for the Raiders, a team that wants to win now. But this is a team that's rewarded guys that put in good work under Antonio Pierce last year. I would say Aiden O'Connell, even though to me numerically didn't show very much, would think that he's the kind of guy they might reward and see as like, oh, here's our young guy who we've nurtured along and he wins the starting job. But what they paid Minshew, it's insane to pay Minshew what they did if he's not going to start. So we'll see. But that's part of, I think, my blocker for Adams. Whereas for Olave, we know what the deal is there. You're going to have Derek Carr being the starter. You're going to have a good amount more of Taysom Hill, it seems like. Seemingly less at QB, based on what Click Kubiak has shown so far in OTAs and minicamp. But it does seem like overall, Derek Carr is going to be the starter there. We know what's going to happen. I think that's a lot more secure than Devontae Adams trying to stack him up and maybe getting a shot of a guy who doesn't end up starting the year. Teams are so sick, you should visit the doctor. Thank you, Feeling Moosey. I appreciate that. Look forward to these everyday streams and Spags. Been thinking about streaming some of my own drafts, but I can't believe how much haters you get. That's not, I really don't. It's just people who are miserable in their own lives and they come on and try to poke the zoo animal. I've known that since my Barstool days. That's why when people are like, oh, you shouldn't be so mean to people, it's like, I just don't give a fuck. If somebody's an asshole to me and I'm mean to them and they don't come back, great. I'd rather have 100 people in every room here or, in every video that are actually going to want to participate and be productive. I'm not in this at this point in my life. I'm not in this to get the 5,000, 10,000 views a video. Like if that happens, great. But if it happened, it would have to be because I did it my way. I'm not in here to deal with assholes just trying to fucking poke at you. Like Chris, I don't know. Like that guy coming to the chat is likely accomplished nothing in his life. And he honestly would probably have been better off on his mother's fucking thigh, really, if we're going to be realistic about it. But ultimately, it's like people like that, don't let them take your joy. I tilt here on, on stream to make content, to make hopefully an entertaining hour of your day when I'm doing this 6 days a week. But ultimately, to people out there, if you do stream, just fucking mute the people who are going to be assholes to you. They're never going to add value to your process. They can just sit and watch little cucks like they are in their own lives. That's ultimately what it is every day. Honestly, that's probably knowing that dude's attitude. Probably a dude that was mad about the Trump stuff last week, if I'm being real about it. But again, I've been in the weeds for a while now. I've been doing internet content since I was in college. So we're talking the early 2000s. I was very early in the wave of blog stuff. Then was at Barstool. Then was at was at Guys. Had my own site where I took slings and arrows. So if you're a content creator, I don't want to say you have to have thick skin. You just have to let shit roll off of you. And ultimately, you have to learn how to file people away. Where if somebody's great to you, you treat them like gold. If somebody's shit to you, then they add no value. All right, what do we get this pick? So Malik Neighbors coming back is pretty nice. We do have Kyron, but it's 0 RB Friday, and I don't believe in betraying bits here. So we're going to go Malik Neighbors with this pick. Neighbors to me, honestly, this start with Puka, Olave, and Neighbors, unique to me, if not unique to the actual draft board. So I'm happy to do it. Young guys on the ascent. Neighbors looking good in minicamp so far. Obviously, we'll see how far the Giants offense can carry him, but I feel good. Gonna need some Luka love from you today. Either one is fine. Prefer you tell me the version of how we will be beating the Celtics next week. The backcourt to me for the Mavs is the best in the business, but I'm certainly rooting for Luka, given that I've named my son after him. So that's really the main thing to me. Celtics, deep, but obviously having Porzingis coming off an injury, that maybe hurts him a little bit. And if anybody's going to know how to get the most out of abusing Porzingis, it's probably the Mavs. We saw Porzingis get abused every single day when he was on their roster. I really think the biggest thing for the Mavs is going to be they have good wing defenders. They have the two best players in the series, in my opinion. I think Kyrie and Luka are both better than Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. But definitely the depth there. The Drew Holiday defense is going to be tough. Should be a good series, though. That's the one that you should have wanted based on the Final Four. I just hate that Boston luck box their route to the finals personally. The softest route to the finals possible. This guy with the T. Higgins at 36, Ayuk at 13, Odunze at 37. I love any wide receivers you're going to take early. That is not the 4-man start I would do to reach 30 spots for Odunze, to reach what should be 15 spots for Higgins in my rankings. That's egregious. That's not how we do zero RB Friday, is what I would say, but more power to him. Sip, you know what I'm thinking, but yes, would love to get neighbors with old AR if we can get it. Trey McBride comes back, which feels like a nice pick. ADP wise, Zay Flowers would be the better pick. I do think going, well, man, Zay would make this team kind of loaded. Fuck it. All right. I do think going McBride is more fun for the Rams correlation, but I can't not scoop Zay when I think we kind of have a unique young guy build. And that's one thing I will say too, that I think sometimes people sleep on a little bit is like, guys going year 1 to year 2, very important thing. Guys going year 2 to year 3. Those are the years where you see the biggest jumps for young players. This room now is guys going year 2 to year 3, year 1 to year 2. Like, I'm happy to have this kind of room because the hope is that the talent of all these guys can make them ascend to an even higher height than their ADPs reflect. So Puka Nacua, Chris Olave, Malik Neighbors, Zay Flowers. Love Trey McBride, but this was not a Trey McBride draft for me, unfortunately. Oh, shout out Brian. All right, Brian being added. We're dangerously close to 100. We need like 20 more, but dangerously close by my standards. So Brian, one of my favorites. Brian, welcome to the family. Big kiss for our boy Brian. Gives out great takes on Twitter. A lovely guy, a guy who wouldn't go into random YouTube chats to talk shit because they're depressed about their life. That's what I love about Brian. So give him some kisses. Mwah, 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 mwah. Welcome to the family, Brian. Ah, fuck. Welcome to the family, Brian. Appreciate you being here. Of course, Brian now gets access to my weekly rankings, which will be updated once again this weekend. Of course, VIP Discord, the Squirt Squad VIP Discord you get on Pete Overzet's Deposit Kingdom Discord, special channel just for us, just for the VIPs. And of course, 10 team reviews a month if you want from me, which I've been hitting them hot and heavy. Been getting a lot of team review requests and hopefully add some value back from all those. I think a lot of people are surprised at the depth I give you on a team review. So if you really want something that's going to take a look at your process, I'm the one person out there that's going to do it for you. Not for free. Not for free. How much you have to pay so you stop doing that bit? $1 million. It's going to cost you a cold mill. It's one of the things. People miss the days of doing bits on this channel. Pete and I used to be doing impressions every fucking week, so got to keep one thing from the past. Anthony asking the question, the hot topic here, people coming for the estimate thing. I'm not worried about it. Obviously, having a knee thing at this stage of the game is never a great thing for a young guy coming in, but him being expected to be full go by training camp, that's when he needs to be full go. There's already been a lot of positive signal about his usage, about the fact that they want him to replace P. Ryan. They want him to be able to get at pass blocking. So these are things that I honestly didn't see was in the bag for estimate. I thought his best shot was taking a few tough carries away from Javonte, maybe some goal line work. The fact that he's live for that and also pass game downs, you really could see a lot of high value touches go Estime's way, but he has to go out there and be good, come July. So that's the bet now. If you wanted to dial back the bet, I could see doing that in this time period. But if he comes out and he's a world beater at camp, you got to imagine he's going to come up a good amount. So that's the trade-off there if you don't take him. McCaffrey went 4th in one of my drafts, had 5th pick. Wow. It's a big fall for McCaffrey. It's going to happen sometimes. All right, so AR aligns in ADP. Really, and these other receivers, nothing I need to go out of my way to get. All right, AR. Woof. This clock is making me sweat. We're putting the jersey on, though, for Zero RB Friday. Zero RB with AR. How could I lose? I mean, it went so well last year, right? Well, it did for a month. It went really fucking well for a month. And then things went south. AR at QB, Puka Nacua, Chris Olave, Malik Neighbors, Zay Flowers, a young, explosive wide receiver core, and nothing else so far. Saw AR go pick 28 in the Greyhound. Gotta love that thing. That's crazy. Look, I think AR, to me, I've priced pretty aggressively in my ranks. As I mentioned here, my ranks are meant to show what I believe the true value of guys is, where they should go. To me, there is not a tier break between Lamar and Stroud and AR. The markets disagree. So if you can get AR in the 50s, I've heard of people getting them at 70 on DraftKings. More power to you. Scoop up AR. If he gets past 50, I think you're live to take AR and feel like you're getting good value on him. But I would have him ranked right behind Lamar personally. Here on Splash Play with the Squirt Squad, we love nothing more than young explosive plays, says Tyler. Tyler knows better than anybody. That's why he's the alpha. He's my moon and my stars. You guys know the regulars who've been ride or dies for the longest. The ones I hold the most revere, and Tyler is amongst that Mount Rushmore of guys. All right, so we have AR here. All right, what do we do? It's a good RB pocket. I have to admit, it is a good RB pocket. I really think I have to scoop Mixon with this discount. We got 5 rounds and no running backs. That's still 0 RB enough, right? I think it is. Joe Mixon, I believe in you too much. Why are you not being selected? Fucking go. Select Joe Mixon. Oh, well, I swear to God. So my computer is a production PC I've used for years. This last day, really this week so far at Underdog, if I click the star, there's enough of a delay where sometimes it's it looks like it doesn't click, and it killed me. I drafted Derek Carr accidentally yesterday because of that. Something I have to be more mindful of. It's not slow fingers like our pal Pete Overzet was writing about in his weekly email. It's just that the click is a little bit slower at Underdog, which for somebody who streams as much as I do, been streaming since January, all these drafts, those little things can mean a difference between you getting clocked out and not. So I got to be a little more aware. Comp sucked on Underdog last time. I mean, look, I don't want to blame them, but I'm noticing it now 2 days in a row. And I do cut my clicks a little bit close. I know that too. So it could be on me, but I think I've done enough to have some credibility here. Go ahead, Matthew. Matthew, I always appreciate you. This team slaps as well. Matthew, getting close to that Mount Rushmore as well. You might be on it, honestly. I would need to think that through. I have an AR pick 70 and Jayden team from the first day of BBM. I look at it at least once a week. The tough part is they're the same buy, right? They're both week 14. So that's the downside, unfortunately. 3 of my favorite QBs in drafts this year, CJ Stroud, AR, Jayden Daniels, they're all week 14 buys. And my favorite cheap guy is Bo Nix, who is also a week 14 buy. So a bit of a downer there if you are following my player takes, because those guys are all my faves, and you're not going to have them for the week where you need to advance. So that's the downer. Better than DK DFS messing up an NHL and NBA lock? Oh, that's tough. But he's doing streams now, right, for Stochastic. So if you're doing streams, man, you got to just be willing to swallow the EV on some of that stuff, because it's easier now with the Sims products that they have where you can do stuff a little bit more easily on stream. But in general, I would say that was the worst part. There was one point where I refused to do live before locks anymore, just because of the fact that you're killing your EV by doing that show. Greg and Eric, I think, are good enough at doing that now because they've done it for years. But even then, there are some days, I think, where they don't get to massage things the way that they would like to necessarily. All right, we're on the clock here. You'd see my ranks here that we are sorting by. Would be okay to scoop Aaron Jones here. So here's the thing. This is not a pure 0 RB build. We didn't go 6 rounds of no running backs at all. But I think Aaron Jones wouldn't be a bad pick here. Do you like Jameson Williams a little bit more? Jameson Williams, to me, has a shot of going reliably in the 70s and 60s once we get to the summer. My main observation so far of the markets on Underdog and really in general in the industry, I don't think people are paying as close attention to the team movements, the signal from teams, some of the coach speak out there that actually does matter. I don't think people are reacting to that enough this year. Jameson Williams has been locked into this wide receiver 2 job since January, and now he's getting more and more positive drumbeat from how he's handling it from Dan Campbell, how he's handling it according to that entire team. To me, Jameson Williams in this range, I love Christian Watson. I think the public will like Jameson Williams more. This range in general, I like all these guys. Thomas, Johnson, Hopkins, Watson, Jameson. JSN caught 5 touchdowns in OTAs yesterday or in minicamp yesterday because of the fact that DK Metcalf was out. But JSN, 5 touchdowns in a practice is an outlier thing, even if it is 7 on 7s and 11 on 11. So this range has quietly become a very nice range. And part of why, too, if you go extreme 0 RB this year, all these players are great, but these guys were I think these were the 100-ish range guys last year. And this tier is really strong. So something I would say, if you're taking wide receiver 5 out of this range, I'd be happy with any of them. Listen to Bindles and always listen to Bindles. Bindles, of course, doing a great job on his streams as well on his channel. J-Mo had a deep TD yesterday, then dropped a slant 2 plays later. That's the Jameson Williams experience. The main thing that I remember from him coming out of college is he was one of the better guys against press coverage coming out of that class, which for a guy like J-Mo, who is a downfield guy, the fact that he could beat people on the line of scrimmage, is a positive. I think in his class, it was him and Drake London, right? I think London was the best in that class, and JMO was number 2. I just believe in JMO a good amount on that. All right, what do we do? Sort by ADP real fast. So Swift would be the ADP pick. Rashee Rice could be a fun wide receiver 6, I suppose. DeAndre Brooks. Again, I'm trying to cut my DeAndre exposure a little bit, not because I'm terribly concerned about him or Chicago, mostly because I think there are other guys in this range that are very valid picks that I'm a little bit blind to because of how much I love DeAndre. You can see I have him ranked at 74. So we're going to take Jonathan Brooks here. Good news, I guess, for the Bears. I don't know if this is actually good news, though it might change Bears ADPs a little bit because people have been so down on Caleb Williams, and I do think Hard Knocks is going to make him come off a lot more likable. The Bears are going to be the Hard Knocks team this year, so something to be mindful of, that it's possible Chicago in particular, guys like Swift, guys like Caleb, get steamed up a little bit more from the public nature of Hard Knocks and all that. And also the fact that, to me, if you're bringing in Caleb Williams, who has this history of being a little bit reviled by certain people out there, you know, on social media, and especially like where they're, you know, people can't handle the fact that he wears nail polish or that he cries with his mom, you know, like things that, you know, we get it. Because of the fact people have been down on him in that respect, having him be likable on a show, like, it's so stupid because it doesn't fucking matter really to the football part of it. For the market data part of it, like, that's probably going to matter to market. So just something to be aware of, that I think you're probably getting Bears right now at a little bit of a discount, because Caleb is going to crush in camp. They're going to put some flowery highlights of him on Hard Knocks, and he's going to look like a world beater with that wide receiver group with Swift as well. So just one of those things that I have to talk about, even though it just doesn't really matter. Come with a new name for Extreme Zero RB, Super Zero RB. It's not catching on. I don't mind that. I like Extreme, though. It's just fun because it evokes the ideas of the days of yore, of Mountain Dew, of the X Games, of pornography, all the big X's out there. That's what you get with the Extreme Zero RB. JMO gives you the willies. I thought he came on strong at the end of last year, and you have to, when you account for him missing time for the gambling and missing time for injury the year before last, like, he really hit stride at the end of last season in the way you would wanted to see him do in the beginning of the season. But I think the fact that he was out of the facility for a little bit too long, those are things that hurt him enough. So I tend to believe in JMO, like, you're getting him. He's on the right trajectory with what he showed down the home stretch. And the biggest part is just being out there and being the wide receiver too. If he absorbs the Josh Reynolds stuff, plus what he had for himself, plus maybe fights off DPJ a little bit more, he can really be a strong player, I think. I'm being tempted with a good time here, guys. I am being tempted with a good time that is going to make it tough in week 14 for the umpteenth time in a draft for me. We have so many late stacks left. You gotta do what sparks joy. We gotta make the click that makes me happy. 2 week 14 buys, but again, the hypermobile QB room, AR and Jayden Daniels. If you're going to leave Jayden Daniels for me in a room past pick 100, he's coming home with me. I'm taking Jayden Daniels. I'm wrapping my arm around him. I'm kissing his neck. I'm trying to finger him in the cab home. That's what happens when you leave Jayden Daniels in a room. So Jayden Daniels and AR, we now need a QB3 for week 14, but we don't give a fuck. We got Joe Mixon, Jonathan Brooks at running back. Our wide receiver room fairly loaded as well. Puka Nacua, Chris Olave, Malik Neighbors, Zay Flowers, and Jameson Williams. Good discounts on 2 of those guys, which make us a little bit more unique. And then the fact that we have 2 week 14 buys of elite players probably also makes us unique as well. So if I win this year, it's going to be on the back of guys who don't play week 14 is really the biggest takeaway I have for you all. This is a Sydney Sweeney of drafts. Yeah, we're making the hot ones face. I'm going, Here, I'll even zoom in for that one. Here's my Sydney Sweeney hot ones impression. Am I equally cute? Do I look in love like she does in that? I hope I do. My titties, I don't think quite as ample, but maybe, dad life's been tough. Legged at 111. This fucking room, this room is all over the goddamn place. And I cannot keep up. Also, Brock Bowers went early too. Like, Brock would have made sense for my team as well, but he goes at 84 in this room to this asshole in the 12th spot. Oh boy, we are in for one here. All right, so we have our bet on the Rams. We have Puka Nacua there. I think we're going to take Trey Benson here. I am more team James Conner. Could do Singletary. Tough call. I'm going to go with Benson just because I'm low on Benson overall in my exposures. Think that Conner is a safer bet, though no matter what, I have to say that I do believe that Benson takes some pass game work away from James Conner. But that's okay. We're going to take our shot on Trey Benson. Spags' teams are all going to be in first place heading into week 14. I think that's true. What's going to happen is I'm going to be crushing everybody heading into week 14, and I'm going to give up 100 points in week 14, and we'll see if my teams can survive it, but it's okay. Quick question. The person who won the million, you mean BBM last year, so won the 3 million. I believe he drafted in August, was his team? So he drafted a little bit later. Karain was mid-July. I think Liam was in June, and then Fareed was in August, I believe. So different times. When it's a commercial, Justice Spags is making the face frozen into. That sucks that you guys don't get ad-free. Like, I feel like if you're a paying member, you should get ad-free. But I can't do that. Said DPJ, but isn't Khalif Raymond the third option on the depth chart? Depth charts don't really matter at this stage of the game. I don't know. I don't even know what depth chart you're looking at, but they're basically the same player. And frankly, I wouldn't be worried about Khalif Raymond either. If you're Jameson Williams, you're coming in with a real pedigree. Khalif Raymond is just like a flotsam receiver who's gotten some luck because he's the only guy that could do certain things in that offense. And what he does well, Jameson Williams does better. So I wouldn't worry about him either. I wouldn't worry about him or DPJ. But the point is really that like Jameson Williams consolidating anything, in particular consolidating some of that Josh Reynolds role. That's the big upside for him. It was end of August. There we go. So May wins this year. I hope. I think I've put in a lot of quality May drafts that hopefully don't get ravaged by injury in July, but we'll find out. We're about 20. All right. So yeah, we're past the point where people do watch the full amount of the video. But guys, if you're watching live or after the fact, please do subscribe. Jermaine Burton at one. What is this room doing? This room is just Mike Williams falling that much and Burton at 121. I guess he's building a Denver-Cincinnati stack, but Jesus. Point being, guys, we subscribe, we hit the like button. All those things help me out a bunch. Here's a solo proprietor who just hops on stream every day, shows you what I'm doing, talks about what I'm talking about, trying to view things in the way that I do here and explain why I view things as I do. It's a process here on Splash Play, and that process continues on all summer long. So please do subscribe down below, hit the like button, leave a comment. We almost got Singletary all the way back to me, which would have been sick, but we will not get that. We'll survive. I think I can live despite that. All right, 2350 here. At a certain point, we do need to set up a later stack. I am, of course, always tempted by trying to corner the market on Houston touchdowns. We're going to look at my exposures today. The amount in Dalton Schultz is vaguely horrifying. Chase Brown, though, can tighten up this 0 RB-ish room. So we're going to do Chase Brown for this pick. Team so far is a 2-4-5-0. We have AR and Jayden Daniels. We have Joe Mixon, Jonathan Brooks, Trey Benson, Chase Brown at running back. Wide receiver, we've got Puka Nacua, Chris Olave, Malik Neighbors, Zay Flowers. Love the 2 discounts on those guys. And Jameson Williams. So we've got fun teams there overall in this wide receiver room. Fun players, fun QBs. Correlation is lacking. I'll admit that. But with 2 rushing QBs, I don't know. We'll survive. Burton needs 1 camp highlight to get steamed up to that range. I like Burton. I just think Burton is a bet that Higgins doesn't ever show up and play, which I'm okay with, but the ADPs don't say that about Higgins. Higgins should be going in the mid-50s if we're going to say that there is like some chance that he, he can't hold out forever because he has to get his vested years. He's got to sign the franchise tender at some point. But like for Higgins, if you're taking Burton in the 120s, like you should be actively betting against Higgins in a lot of drafts. But people are still taking him at like 40. So like I just don't get it. In this room, he went 30 something. So you got to pay the price on both sides of the equation, I think. 2-4-5-0 here. A good running back pocket, but we're gonna scoop up Josh Downs here. Like Zeke falling this range. I've got him priced at a 121 rank, but we have 4 running backs. I think we need some correlation with our QBs, and Josh Downs is going to be that first correlation. we'll see if we get the way back. This one, JMO went late 90s, near 100s. Yeah, I thought he was undervalued there too. I mean, I've had him in my ranks being in the 70s for this entire time. I think if Evan Silva were not taking some personal time away from ETR, I think he would have steamed him up as well. He had him valued in the 70s. So I think that there is a Jameson Williams surge coming. So to me, if you're getting him in the 80 range right now, I would be willing to take it. Got to remember where he went last year. Last year he was a 5th rounder in the early parts of drafts before the gambling suspension hit. So I don't know. Giving too many I don't knows today. Downs way too cheap. He is to a certain extent. His big nut outcome would have been if we didn't see Michael Pittman coming back. Downs will benefit from A.D. Mitchell being out there because Mitchell's not a great target earner. Downs, year 1 to year 2 leap is probably the biggest part. And the connection he had with AR. They were roommates last year. I don't know if they still are, but I would say for Downs, I've been a little bit blind to him just because of the fact that I think his best days would come just with Pittman not there, really. But still a valid player. I think he's an appropriate price, personally. Maybe you could steam him up. Like, I mean, in a room where Burton's going 120, yeah, Downs is undervalued. But I think Downs and Dotson, kind of similar plays. Downs and Wicks, I would say more similar plays where there's just kind of blockers to them hitting their true ceiling for the most part. 101 launching 33 likes. Second. Oh, yeah. I don't think we're going to do second draft today. I'm trying to keep myself at 1 a day to make sure that I'm spacing this out right. But maybe if the views keep going up and the like button is smashed, maybe I'll consider. So please hit the like button. Though honestly, I've been in hell doing fucking applications for funding for probably that. I still have to do. I might have to do more this afternoon. Really just the worst. It's the worst. Filling in apps and stuff for your company is one of the worst things that nobody talks about in the world of startups, where it's like esoteric documents that people have sometimes, and they're all subject to like, it's just this one firm that uses this and this other. And it's like, oh my goodness, really, really tedious, really tedious. We persevere. AR is a big arm, but I wouldn't say it's the most accurate deep ball. What are his numbers last year? Let's get to the bottom of it. Obviously, it'd be small sample size, but he was a lot more accurate in college than people realize. He was basically as accurate as CJ Stroud downfield, or at least as positive EPA. Not been as accurate. But last year, AR was, let's see, downfield. Let me highlight him. And my monster data sheet, he threw 4 deep balls a game, good for a 0.74 EPA, so that's good. 63% catchable ball rate, which would be higher than a lot of guys around the league. So really no flaws. Small sample size last year, but 64% catchable ball rate will play no matter what. All right, 2460 here. What do we do? I have trying to take more Darnell Mooney, though I think I need to keep flexibility because we have to add a late QB, right? Or we can just take Stafford. Let's keep pushing Stafford. Let's scoop up one more running back value here. Jerome Ford, 16 picks after ADP, 17 picks after ADP. He's a player I have valued in the mid 130s. Again, the big play for him is that Nick Chubb is coming back from a catastrophic knee injury. Jerome Ford spiked really big down the home stretch last year. We gave up Darnell Mooney for that one, but I think Ford really rounds out this RB room. And I don't know that we need a 6th. We could use a 6th, but I don't know that we need a 6th. So we'll see. This is going to be tough on the way back. Because this team could have... well, I might have to make a tough choice on the way back. I want to spoil what's in my head. Flawless draft. Thank you, Good Googly. Thank you. I was going to see a new name in the chat that's not just being a dick to me for no reason. So that's always a positive. Shout out, Good Googly. Luke McCaffrey goes at 158. I just don't think reaching for McCaffrey if you don't have Jayden is the best move in the world. But that's my belief. I'm gonna see what happens if I push Stafford some more. I'm gonna take Ben Sinnott. Can't wait to review my exposures, guys. I took a quick look on the app yesterday, and a few I was like, whew. So we are now about 35 drafts in. I think might be 34 for me in BBM, despite it being number 89 for me streamed on the year. Of course, that includes the big board as well as the drafters drafts we're starting to do now. Yeah, I think you guys will find my exposures interesting when we review them at the end of this video. So stay tuned for that one coming up. You had to take Sinnott there. Had to take Sinnott. I think it was worth, if we push Stafford back, great. Honestly, might come down to where's the cup drafter. Cooper. Yeah, the cup drafter is on this side. So Stafford, but this guy's got 2 QBs. So it's possible we do push Stafford all the way back. It just comes down to what J-Ma 33 does. And hopefully he will do the logical thing and not take a third QB when you have Tua and Trevor Lawrence. But who knows? Maybe those guys have the same bye too. At this point, nothing would surprise me. No, they have different buys. So he shouldn't take a third QB, but we'll figure out if he does. Diamond hands no matter what. That's the promise on Splash Play. Oh, man. Views going up, guys. So your chance of a second draft is getting higher. Even against my best judgment. We always know how second drafts go here on stream. No, I looked at both D Owens. Don't worry. I know how to read a board. It's J-Ma who has Cooper Kupp. Silly D Owens. Cooper Kupp is for kids. Cooper Kupp is for old ass men, really. Not many sites are better than Spags with the AR jersey on. Thank you. I appreciate that. One day this summer, guys, you are going to see a Jayden Daniels jersey on stream. The day is not here yet because I'm too busy investing all my money in a startup and then paying back the wife. It's a 10% decrease in the passive aggression in the house for the finances, but that's how it goes. Contribution to a second draft. I mean, tempting, Ross, is not a contractual guarantee. I'll tell you that. 4 tight end build, never. I would never do a 4 tight end build. We can always survive. Be interested to see what I do in one of these new style contests. Yeah, I understand that. I kind of don't want to do it. To me, they're all different draft styles. They're all different things you need to prepare for. There are also things where I get the most joy out of a traditional draft. I like drafting on Drafters as a change of pace. I personally, especially given the fact that Drafters has been very kind to me personally, and also they sponsor the show now for the second year in a row, including doing some stuff with us for Playoff Best Ball. I'm probably not going to do the marathon out of principle. I think you guys should do it. It's a lot more fun to not to worry about pod luck, I think, with that format. But there are some things for me here. I like this being just BBM drafts and the occasional Drafters draft. So I make my choice here, but I understand there's some other things people want to see me do. And it's possible, maybe at some point this summer, do a few different things. But it's my thought right now, at least. 2673 build, maybe. You might be right. Would you consider Dyami Brown a sneaky stack with Daniels? It's a low probability one, but I don't think he's dead, especially given the fact that I just don't think McCaffrey is the most talented guy in the world. I'm making the bet because he's running with the first team out of the slot. But I think Dyami Brown, if he's ever going to hit, there's his chance to hit. All right, what is old Mariachi here or Marica? I don't know what this name is. Maragi might be the person's name. We're going to take the Matthew Stafford here for our 1 week. We need production in week 14, and hopefully he'll go off. Maybe he gives us 1 week that AR gets hurt. I don't know. But Stafford doesn't add a lot of value to the team, but does cover our ass to give us some points in week 14, and we'll take that. Team so far is AR, Jayden Daniels, Matthew Stafford, Joe Mixon, Jonathan Brooks, Trey Benson, Chase Brown, and Jerome Ford. Wide receiver, Puka Nacua, who correlates with our Matthew Stafford, Chris Olave, Malik Neighbors, Zay Flowers, Jameson Williams, Josh Downs, and a single stack with Washington. I don't end up with many single stats of Washington. Indianapolis, I do more with AR just because there isn't a ton of guys to grab with AR post where his draft pick is. So we're okay with the team. Not as correlated as I would normally do, but it's okay. If I stack Ertz with Daniels and BBM, no, I think only in the big board. I just don't think he's a play right now. Based on what Cliff Kingsbury has said, Ertz being brought in to be a mentor, not being brought in to be a starter, is basically the subtext of what Cliff Kingsbury has said about him so far. The fact Keelan Robinson at 181, this guy is doing some dumb shit. DeMarcus Robinson goes, that would have been nice to have back. This room has been really unpredictable about what's coming back and what's not. We're going to sort by ADP here. I mean, I think that Wandale is a valid pick at this point with our bet on the Giants. We'll get a Giants double without the QB. We just need to beat Daniel Jones. The flip side of this would be that maybe I didn't have to take Stafford. Stafford's role, though, is secured throughout the year. Daniel Jones, I believe it was the ship chasing show yesterday, they were talking about it more, that Jones has some injury guarantee stuff where if he's not playing well in that front half of the year, they might pull the plug on him. So that's how I'm going to justify going Stafford over Daniel Jones here. But with the fact that we have the double and Jones is a more mobile QB, maybe could have passed on Stafford, scooped. I don't know. What would I even taken? There's really nothing in this range I need more. So I'm all right with Stafford at the big discount, but I think there would have been a logic in passing him up. Yeah, no, I'm shockingly not worried that Siddon's a fullback. One of the worst takes that have come out of this offseason continues to be that one, but people will find out. Stafford could have a good game week 14 at home against Buffalo. Good job. All right. I honestly didn't know that was, I don't care about the schedule much behind besides week 16 and week 17. Because as we talked about before, if you are trying to correlate for advance rate stuff, correlating for a pod is not necessarily the best thing to do for yourself. That's because of the fact that like you're then heading into week 17, not correlated against a bunch of teams that probably are correlated. So that's one thing I try to keep top of mind, but knowing that now, I actually do think that's a fair way to look at it. So appreciate Andrew for giving me that feedback. Of course, as we talked about earlier, a lot of new tournaments on Underdog. Check it out. Promo code SPLASH on there. Up to $250 in bonus cash given back to you if you sign up. So a great way to, I don't know, make your bankroll last longer. Between that and the rake back on drafters, which I'll also pull up the plug for, promo code SPLASH on drafters. It's a $100 deposit match on there. The rake back on drafters, the best thing you can find. The tournament variety on Underdog, I think a lot better than DraftKings because you're getting different scoring, different, finals levels as well, where some of the finals are big, some of them are small. Some of the price points as well. That sprint tournament they're doing where it's 14 weeks and then a sprint for week 15 through 17 where it's cumulative scoring. That tournament is a $50 entry. So if I had to guess that that sprint tournament going to be hard to fill, I don't think there's a lot of people that want to put in $8,000 for a tournament that they don't necessarily have a way to correlate late for. So definitely some advantages. If I had to guess, that sprint tournament's going to be like this year's, what was it? Weekly winners last year, weekly winners barely filled. I would think that sprint might not fill. I think the marathon's got a lot better shot with the $15 prize pool and cumulative scoring for 17 weeks. If I had to guess. Derek Carr, I honestly forgot about Derek Carr. Derek Carr would have been another bailout we could have taken late as well. We had a lot of outs for the Seam at QB, despite having the 2 week 14 buys. So that worked out pretty well. Been MIA from the streams this week. Who you've been targeting more often than not in the last 2 rounds? It's still estimate for me primarily. A lot of it's just correlation stuff. Like if I have Philadelphia, Jalen Tolbert, when he's not going at 188 in a dumb shit room, Jalen Tolbert's a great Philadelphia bring back, I think. But I would say for me, round 17, 18, independent of guys that would be bringbacks, Tank would be a guy I would take. I haven't taken him this week, but I would take. For the most part, though, I think for your 17th to 18th round, mostly trying to get guys that are either bailing out your stack or, doing something else for you. Okay. Nothing I could take Indianapolis. I could take another Giants tight end or something if I want to flesh out tight end with a game stack. I am going to take Jonnu Smith, though. As you can see, I still do have Jonnu ranked higher than the public. I think there's a little bit of a tier break with him and some other guys in terms of just what he represents, being a part of a really high-octane offense that gave its tight end a lot of opportunity last year in terms of just being out there. But, Durham Smythe couldn't earn targets. I think that is one of those parts of this draft that, I don't know. I'd be willing to go to Jonnu a little more than it seems like people are. Though Jonnu, for what it's worth, I feel like there hasn't been any camp reports about him. Nothing where you're like, oh, this guy is really a crusher. Like he's doing such tremendous things. So who knows? But with what he did in Atlanta last year, I don't know why you wouldn't take a shot. Any scenario where I take 4 QBs, if I felt loaded at every position and the 4th QB correlated with me and it were like Derek Carr and he fell to me in the 18th round, maybe. But in general, no. You're wasting too much on a onesie position then. Where do I get OT info from? I read The Athletic every morning. I also think 32 beat writers and the Coach Speak Index do the best job of summing it up on social media. So that'd be what I would advocate for. This guy takes Michael Penix. This guy in a 12 hole. And he's not a badge, and I don't want to be like rude, but like these are the people sometimes, and part of why I don't love doing regulars in every room. this guy did a dumb shit draft. It hurt me a little bit, but it opened up more value because he was just taking guys all over the place and not building a team that's like functionally bad in terms of structure. But like he's got 2 QBs here, probably not going to play most of the year, if not all the year. So just not a great draft in the 12 hole. I don't want to be mean, but really, I would say not a great draft would be the way to not be mean about that. Third tight end makes sense here. Michael Mayer, 12 personnel. Do like that for him. Chig, the best value, but doesn't correlate with anything we have going. Correlates for week 16 with Indianapolis. Let's go Chig just because I think the offense will be better, and there's probably going to be a higher pass rate rather for the team. So let's do that. I was thinking Davis Allen or Colby Parkinson for more Rams correlation, but we made the choice there. I'd rather take the screaming value in Chig. So we end up with a 3-5-7-3 here. So the prediction earlier was wrong. We have AR, Jayden Daniels, Matthew Stafford. So we did get our third QB. Huge value on Stafford, near 30 pick discount there. Joe Mixon, Jonathan Brooks, Trey Benson, Chase Brown, Jerome Ford at running back. Wide receiver, Puka Nacua, Chris Olave, Malik Neighbors, Zay Flowers, Jamison Williams, Josh Downs, and Wan'Dale Robinson. And a tight end, Ben Sinnott, Jonnu Smith, Chig Okonkwo. And for people out there that like Jelani Woods, he was still available, and I did not choose him here because I just don't think he gets there in a year where there are 5 tight ends that are going to be involved in that depth chart once again. I don't want to do that. Raise it, who loves drafted on stream, wants me to run it back. Be mean, King. He didn't do anything that really hurt me, so that's why I'm not being mean. But I have to say, like, the 12 hole was a dog shit team. All right, so we're all reading a draft room here. 11 spots filled, waiting for one. If you guessed that I was going to do a second one, you reap the benefits now. Draft number 2 here on stream. Draft number 90 for me on the year. Let's update the banner. Why not? 10 away from 100. So we're going to hit 100 probably the week after next coming up. We're going to hit 100 in June. And we're in the 101. Oh, no. Oh, no. On Zero RB Friday, we're in the 101. I don't want that. I take McCaffrey when I'm in the 101. I'm not trying to be clever here. Fuck. My McCaffrey exposure. I've only got 2 shares of McCaffrey so far. Can we do Hero RB? Can it be Hero RB Friday? What's my CeeDee Lamb exposure? So I need to get more Lamb too. I'm even on McCaffrey and Lamb right now. No, I'm not. I'm not you, D. Owens. I'm not going to do robust. Where'd that go? Where'd that chat go? D. Owens tell me to do robust RB. Never. I'll die before I do robust RB. Especially on Zero RB Friday. Court allows it. This draft, you can do whatever you want. We all know my belief in bits. I did fulfill my obligation. That was a Zero RB team. All right. Let's do Hero RB Fridays. Christian McCaffrey, come on down, right? I'm so low on CeeDee Lamb, though. You know what? Fuck it. I'll get my McCaffrey later. It's fucking Zero RB Friday, and I believe in a premise for a bit. CeeDee Lamb, you're my 101 here. You're on the thumb. He's on the thumbnail, too. I can't look CeeDee Lamb, those puppy dog eyes, and not take him 101. You have to take off the jersey, though, because this draft does not include AR yet. CeeDee Lamb at the 101. That's right, King. We commit to the bit. Regulars know. We'll get our McCaffrey. I'm owed a lot of 101s, I feel like. I've not gotten, frankly, I am not picking in the first 3 picks at all in drafts very often at all this year, which was probably the run bad from the random number generator last year where I was crushing it in terms of getting 101s. I had 16% Justin Jefferson in the 101 last year. This year, they're making me pay the price because I'm picking from pick 6 on, I feel like in every fucking draft. So we'll see. Hero RB is on the Lamb today, bitches. Yeah, CeeDee Lamb. Look, CeeDee Lamb was great last year. CeeDee Lamb, in terms of the metrics I swear by, of course, the expected points added metric, the EPA stuff from Sports Info Solutions. CeeDee Lamb was great last year. He was one of the best players in football. Lamb, where is he at? 0.47 EPA per target, 30% target per out run, all the shit that I look for. Granted, Tyreek earned targets more, 39% target per out run, but a 0.38 EPA. So CeeDee Lamb more efficient than Tyreek, not quite as good downfield. 0.85 EPA and throws 20-plus yards for CD compared to 1.3 for Tyreek, which is crazy. Adding 1.3 points every time you're targeted downfield is a tremendous outlier for Tyreek. But Lamb was just so good, and this offense added nothing. So we'll see what CD Lamb's going to get paid so much. He also had a TD in every damn game. Yeah, because he was a key part of that offense. He was everything. CD Lamb, to me, it all depends. Like, it's honestly very funny, though. So Tyreek also holding out quietly. He wants a new deal, and he's wanted one since the end of last season. So Tyreek wants a new deal. CD actively holding out, wants a new deal. Justin Jefferson actively holding out, wants a new deal. Jamar Chase actively holding out, wants a new deal. A.J. Brown was going to hold out, got a new deal. Amon-Ra was going to hold out, got a new deal. All these guys here, and Garrett Wilson knows he's trash and knows he should be going the second round, so he doesn't care. He's like, I'll pay me in cookies, and I'm happy to show up. For the rest of these guys, though, everybody's holding out in the top 8 picks at receiver, so pretty brutal. Tyreek said that was what he had said, but maybe that was a negotiating thing because the report was yesterday that apparently he's been angling for a new deal since the end of last year. He could still retire, and he would get more money then up front. So, even if he were to retire, I guess he would have to tell them, he'd have to be like, by the way, I'm not going to retire, guys, but he could retire and have a new deal. It's not like it would stop him or anything. Did I see Garrett Wilson making fun of Corley? I said he was like a bowling ball out there, which I don't think is making fun of him, if that's what you're talking about. They call Debo a bowling ball. I think, if anything, that just cements how I feel about Malachi Corley, is that he's the most homeless man version of Debo, though. Great target earner, playing against nobodies in college like he did. Western Kentucky, not the highest pedigree. Malik Neighbors goes in 18 at this one. So it makes me, and Olave goes at 13 in this one. So I feel better about last draft, even just from the dudes drafting here. We're crushing it. Making fun of Corley's note taking because it was rather feminine. Oh, was he just making fun of the fact that Corley takes notes? Because that's the issue for Garrett Wilson. He's not taking enough notes in these first 2 years as everybody's propping him up as king. Oh, calligraphy. Calligraphy's sick. If I could do calligraphy, I'd flex on it all the time. Good for Malachi Corley. Good for that little bowling ball in his calligraphy. If Jettas doesn't get hurt, he should always be wide receiver 1. I agree. You're not going to get an argument for me. CD showed me a lot last year, though my concerns about them were more so just Dallas being a boomer offense, really. And they were in the beginning of the year, and then they figured it out, and we're not. So more power to them. It's also hilarious that this is a draft where nothing Eagles related aligns well for me, but we might do something fun here. All right. This is not the way to draft. I'm going to say that right now. This is not the way to draft, but we don't pick for rounds. And I think this combo is going to be unique. We saw somebody get it on stream this week. I just don't think it happens enough. We're going full stack here. We're going Jalen Hurts and Devontae with CeeDee Lamb. Week 17 correlation, Dallas, Philadelphia. It doesn't align naturally well. So this is the only way I could do it. To me, it evokes last year what I did with Christian Watson and Justin Jefferson, which obviously ended up being wrong because Watson wasn't healthy the whole year. But I do think if Watson had played in that Week 17 game, if the hamstring stuff hadn't reoccurred, I think he would have been the one that you needed as a bring back to Minnesota stuff. To me, for Dallas, Philadelphia, it's the same thing. These guys don't align naturally on the board, so you're not getting the pairings as often. I'm going to take the pairing. So that's the pairing right now. Smith and Hurts, people excited. And Wilson should take notes on finding the end zone. Matt, you distilled it down perfectly. I agree. This is something John Warner would do, and that's a compliment. I'll take that. I'll take any Badge Bros related compliments. The kings of scrolling the F down. If people are going to take Malik Neighbors at 18 and Olave at 13, I could take correlated Week 17 bets at 24 and 25. That's my thesis here. The game theory, the actual reason to be in on Philadelphia this year, especially after what they showed at the end of last year, where I kept buying in, including for playoff best ball, because they were just too cheap. They couldn't get there. when you do bring in Kellen Moore for offense, when you do bring in Vic Fangio, and there have been reports in Philadelphia this week, of course, I'm in the area reluctantly. There have been reports talking about Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore just running the offense and defense. They're not being, Sirianni's not even meddling so far, at least, with what the team is doing. So for them, if we're making a bet on Jalen Hurts being that first half of the Chargers last year, and Devontae Smith being that first half of Keenan Allen, hopefully, or some combo therein of what Keenan Allen and Mike Williams were doing with Kellen Moore. It's a bet that I like a lot, and I think I need to remind myself of it because every time I take AJ Brown, I'm like, man, Harrison's more fun, Puka's more fun. That's how I feel taking AJ Brown. But ultimately, the bet on these guys is just a bet on Kellen Moore, and I do like bets on Kellen Moore. So with CD, with the Week 17 correlation, I'm a fan. And you know what correlates for Week 16 with Philadelphia? If anybody out there who knows, feel free to chime out and chat. You know what correlates for Week 16? Philadelphia plays the Washington Commanders. So we could have some Spags fun here, should we so choose. Gonna hurt when Lamar Andrews there at 4-5. Maybe I'll just do both. To be clear, that wouldn't hurt me. I think we're overrating the things that would hurt me. Nothing hurts me in a draft besides losing out on Jayden when I have like McLaurin. And even that doesn't really hurt me. It's all part of the process. Jayden Daniels, come on down. We can only hope, right? Jayden Daniels really one of those plays for me that if I end up 40% Jayden Daniels this year because his price never came up enough that I don't find it acceptable, I'm going to live with it this year. And I really thought I was going to come into this year. You guys know I talked about it, wanted to hard cap myself at 25%. Still want to do that fundamentally, but if the price points aren't going to be correct, and I think that's been my big belief here based on the stuff that I feel, stuff that I've researched from day one of this year, like literally the first day of January this year, we were doing content. I have to keep buying. So Jayden is a scary exposure that we will, again, review at the end of the video. You'll see all my exposures, and you can then, people who are going to be dicks about it can go, oh, I'm going to fade all these guys. And I'll go, that. Because who cares? Now it's time to get that scary Terry Week 16 bring back. We'll see. We'll see. I got to think he'd be available for me, but depends what's there. You're going to find out at the end of this video, but the Pittman is McLaurin, who's actually a very close price tag. Actually, no, Pittman was going a little bit later, but I think it's the same thing I talked about last year where I said grab Pittman because people aren't going to take enough AR with Pittman. That ended up being right, even though obviously AR getting hurt throws off the equation a little bit. I think it's the same thing for McLaurin. Like, I think there's going to be less McLaurin Daniels out there because people take Daniels as like, oh, shit, he's here, and like he's going to run. I don't need to stack him up. Or if I do stack him up, I'll take McCaffrey late. I'll take Dotson late. I think that McLaurin is the same bet as Pittman was last year. Really, the AR Jayden Daniels bet 1-to-1, the McLaurin Pittman bet to me 1-to-1, even though those guys are obviously very different players with how they get their points. Daniels is one of Daigle's 5 guys he can't stop drafting from the Norris Wings video. Good. I'm glad to hear Daigle's right for is right for once. Last year, the man did not know rookie tight ends would ever score points. This year, I was doing the right thing. Kudos to him. 1020 here. Nothing we have to get correlation-wise because we're already correlated for Philadelphia, Dallas. Gary takes Trey McBride, who would have been consideration, but obviously we don't need it. McLaurin's got to be one of these picks, obviously. Cleveland plays Cincinnati and Miami. Doesn't do a whole lot for me. Kincaid, an appropriate pick at this range as well. I'm kind of confused as to what to do with the second pick. Cooper doesn't correlate with anything. Keenan doesn't correlate with anything. Detroit and Seattle are their 2 games. Hollywood Brown, I think, is a play that I want to get some more of, especially in this kind of build where CD and Devontae theoretically going to give us a lot of points week to week. But this is a bit of a discount on Cooper. Let's just do Cooper here. I've been a little bit blind to Cooper because I just don't love the Deshaun situation. To Deshaun's credit, he's throwing again finally after he wasn't throwing for most of the months of the year so far. But he's throwing, looking decent with the camp throws that are coming out. So we'll make a bet here that he can be useful with Amari. So the team so far, Jalen Hurts at QB, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Smith, and Terry McLaurin and Amari Cooper at wide receiver. No tight ends, no running backs yet. Last year in this range, you auto-drafted Christian Watson. Thoughts on Packers this year? I think they're going to be more agnostic in terms of the offense overall. Watson looks great, though, in terms of what I've seen from camp. I do think that him having the medical testing about the strength difference in his legs is an actually important part. That it's not like, Jelani Woods, people are going, oh, he's just going to come back and be good to go. Like, you didn't hear reports, and maybe he did it, and maybe people aren't reporting on Jelani Woods' coming and goings quite as much as they are Christian Watson. But you didn't hear reports about, Jelani Woods is seeing every specialist possible and he's figuring it out. Christian Watson went to the best hamstring specialist in the country, which happened to be at University of Wisconsin, I believe, in Madison. He went there. He had the testing done. His strength has sort of stabilized there. I think it's only a 10% difference between his right leg and his left leg. He's trying to get it closer to 5% difference between the two, and he's deliberately working towards it. So I think, to me, Watson is still the alpha in that room. I don't think the price of Jayden Reed going the highest is functionally correct. But I think really if you're going to say it's 1A, 1B, I think it's Watson 1A, Reed 1B, Dobbs 3, Wicks 3B. And I would say Dobbs probably the most at risk to lose some snaps to Wicks. Like Watson, to me, they just don't have a guy like that in that room. But Dobbs, one thing he has going for him is like he and Jordan Love have worked out together the most. As I mentioned many times last offseason, he and Jordan Love are the only guys working together. Like Christian Watson didn't fly out. Reed wasn't flying out. It was just Romeo Dobbs. And that's a big part of why Romeo Dobbs becomes, when things really close in, when the defenses really limit what the Packers are doing, you see Love go to Dobbs a little bit more. And I'm hoping that in year 2, we see that less because I'm just not the biggest Dobbs guy. But to me, it's a Watson Reed bet for the Packers. But you have to be willing to accept the fact that it's probably going to ping pong a little bit. Like even Bo Melton, I don't think he gets enough snaps, but like he showed something last year. He showed a spike week, nothing else. How does Wicks grade my model? I mean, in terms of just the data I look at, Wicks 0.44 EPA per target, 23% target route run rate. He's good. He's just blocked by players I think are a little bit better. But Wicks is good. Like I have no issue with Wicks really, besides just whenever guys get too frothy publicly, I kind of tend to look on the negative side a little bit more. And for Wicks, like I think there are blockers to him getting the playing time he needs to hit in the way that people think he's going to hit. He can give you spike weeks theoretically, but touchdown equity goes Watson's way, and Reed's way too. Like those two guys have like real merits in terms of that. Whereas Wicks, I think, going to have a lot of like 4 for 75 kind of days, maybe occasionally a touchdown, but I don't think enough reliably, Musgrave or Kraft? Musgrave by the widest margin possible. Kraft being hurt is not great. Musgrave as well showed the upside he had finally coming back from that lacerated kidney. Had the big play in the Dallas game that was one of the most important plays in that game. That's what Musgrave gives you. He's a downfield threat. And the show is called Splash Play. I like downfield threats who also can stack up ceiling days fantasy-wise. Musgrave is that a lot more than Kraft, where Kraft is kind of I think he's a good tight end. And honestly, if he were on Cincinnati, he'd probably be touting the shit out of him. But for right now, though, I would say that Musgrave should be 50 picks ahead. And frankly, I think Musgrave, you make the case, should go in like the 130s-ish. He's going in the 150s. Shout out our guy Bindles. Bindles, the most generous man in the world of fantasy. And actually, you know what? I don't even think I linked to Bindles' YouTube channel last week. Let me see if I can just link here. Go if you want. Oh, this is giving me YouTube bundles. I'm trying to find Bindles' YouTube channel real fast to give him the link. Here. Bindles, the most generous man in the world of best ball. Subscribe to his channel. The link is in the chat right now. Do that for him. Show some love. Welcome the new 5 members here. Say thank you, Bindles. Bindles sharing with the class once again. So we appreciate him a bunch here. And check out Bindles' content as well. He's not just generosity. He's also a lovely drafter, quality content creator, aggressive guest booker. He and Neil Orfield booking everybody. Booking anybody who can do a stream and give some good takes. So shout out to those guys. Unfortunately, gifted memberships, we don't do the voice because I don't know who the memberships go to. Yeah, Kraft is a torn pec. He'll be back for camp, though. I mean, he'll be back for training camp, to be clear. He's not there for OTA/mini camp. But he's expected to be back in full go by July. Which, if you believe in Kraft, that's what you're selling the hope and a dream on. If you don't believe in Kraft, then thing to dock him for sure. Biddle's 1/3 of the Super Stack Bros. Yeah, Biddle's spreading out multiple channels. He's really expanding the brand. All right, we have a 1-0-40 here. Now I really wish I had taken Kincaid because we have Keon Coleman falling back to me a little bit here. Nothing screaming out that I need to grab right here. So I am going to scoop Keon Coleman for this first part of things. And I can live with that. Keon Coleman, wide receiver 5. Aaron Jones, David Montgomery. I like Montgomery more than Jones. Though I guess rank-wise, I have these. I might need to move this rank. I like Montgomery more than Jones, and I'm going to take Montgomery here. And I will make sure to move that in my ranks because I just don't believe that Jones should be 2 picks ahead of Montgomery. The team so far is a 1-1-5-0. We've got Jalen Hurts, David Montgomery, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Smith, Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman. So for Cleveland, we have correlation with Cincinnati and Miami. Tough to get those guys at this point, but maybe we can get a running back for Miami, a receiver late for Miami. For Philadelphia, Dallas, blocked out for a while until we get to Brandon Cook's range. Still obviously live for Jayden Daniels as well. Who knows? All depends what comes back to 96 and 97. All right. Quick plug, guys. Subscribe down below with the like button. Leave a comment. Of course, 2 drafts today. This is draft number 90 for me on the year. You know why? Because I show up and do drafts every day. I'm not just showing up to do a couple drafts in a week. I'm not showing up. I'm here doing the work every day, revealing my process, whatever I'm putting in every draft, dealing with the slings and arrows from random dudes who are angry at their own lives. I do it for you guys, and I do it for myself, but I do it for you guys. So please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Please leave a comment if you're watching after the fact. All those things spark joy and really do help out. But whether it be this channel or guys like Bindles, whatever creators you enjoy, the little engagements help out a lot because it tells YouTube this channel matters and then they suggest it to more people. So it's always the goal, even for me, even if I want to scare away a lot of those new people sometimes. I do want to get a shot to see them and then I can judge them accordingly and go, oh, well, you're dumb. And, and then I know to file them away and focus on the community at large here. Frankly, I've seen guys in the community get sharper over their time being here too, whether it be from this content or just their own general pursuit of being better at fantasy football and best ball. So I'm always paying attention. That's one thing I will promise you guys. EA College Football had a gameplay preview. Looks pretty sick/hard. That's the one game I'm going to be buying this summer. I think I'm not going to do Madden this year, even though it's tough because I probably want to play Jayden. But I can't do the double. I can't do the double game thing. I'm not, because like I would play college football and I wouldn't have time to play Madden, which is what happens every year for me with Madden and NBA, where like I'll play Madden and I'll hop in NBA. So this past year I didn't get NBA 2K. It's also tough when you get older and you have a kid. Like I feel like less video game time for me in general. But yeah, I will be definitely getting NCAA this year. How could you not be excited about the return of NCAA football if you grew up at any point in the 2000s? I feel like got to hop in there. Squirt League. Oh boy, that's a lot of stuff to consider. But maybe somebody wants to do the legwork on that. I'll throw it in. Best ball streamer lives matter. That's true. That's true. I sacrifice my life here every day on stream, basically. I'm an Xbox boy, even though I recognize that PS5 is probably the better console at this point, but I've been an Xbox guy since the PS2, and I don't see that backing down now. I'm in too deep. I got too many games on there. Too many games on the downloads. Like I can't switch platforms now. Zach Moss at 89. Gee Willikers. Last time I played college football was on the Wii. Oh, wow. Yeah, the Wii, I missed my Wii. I wish I'd kept the Wii because I think I got rid of it at some point between moving across the country a couple times. I miss Wii Sports. Like Wii Sports is one of my favorite games in the world. It's absolutely batshit that the Wii was never like, hey, let's put out another Wii Sports game, put in some new games. Like, I feel like you would just mint money with that. Maybe I'm wrong. I would assume Nintendo knows their business better than I do. But Wii Sports is one of the greatest games that have ever existed. I missed that. Does it benefit you more to do correlation with 1 or 2 QBs? 2 QBs. The more you correlate with your QB, the better shot you have, especially if you're game stacking. That's the goal here because you're trying to give yourself a shot. Let's capture 2 game environments in one. So like, let's say you have your QB plus 2 receivers and then 1 bring back for week 17. Then you have your another QB with 2 receivers and 1 bring back for week 17. You're giving yourself a better shot for one of those games to be an outlier environment that has 50 points, 60 points, maybe even 70 points, which has happened before in a final. So that's the logic there, which I know we're going to get more throughout the summer, but you always want to be correlating your QBs if you can. And I wouldn't say the more the merrier, kind of depends on the QB, but probably at least a QB +1, if not a QB +2, and then trying to get a week 17 bring back as well if you can. Our guy Mathology here, Mathology, who has not been in the house since we talked about Gia Duddy's leak, perhaps, or intentional leak, who knows, of a sex tape with Will Levis, but I'm curious to hear Mathology's takes on such a thing. All right. Pick coming up here. This is a tough one. Dak is still here. Dak obviously makes sense for this build. Jayden Daniels is here. Jayden Daniels titillates and delights me in this build. David Njoku is here, and he correlates with our Cleveland bet. All right, so here's the thing. We're not stopping the Jayden Daniels train yet. If I get Dak Prescott the next turn, I'm going to take him anyway. I'm going to fucking figure out how to get this team working. We're going to take Jayden Daniels here. Swift is at an 11-pick discount. I'm going to do that instead of reaching for Brian Robinson. Let's scoop up some value. We actually do get a week 16 correlation for Chicago and Detroit with Montgomery and Swift. One of these guys dominates this game. Both guys also have the 2 RB or 2 touchdown equity rather as running backs. So that's what we're going to go with. And we're going to push some stuff back and see what comes back to me at the next pick. So we have Jalen Hurts and Jayden Daniels, a pairing, any 2 mobile QBs, but really any mobile QB with Jayden to me. If you had a gun to my head and told me my entire life comes to an end if I don't get one take about Best Ball Mania right, the take would be that mobile QB plus Jayden Daniels wins you Best Ball Mania. So that's, I know, a hot take. It's fucking May. Cut me some slack on it. That's really one of my strongest beliefs, that you're getting a QB with legit QB 3 upside, like QB top 3 upside at pick 100. Like, shouldn't exist. But David Montgomery, DeAndre Swift with the running backs, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Smith, Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman. So we don't have any real correlation with Cleveland yet. No real correlation with Buffalo yet. Obviously, we can do that later with Jets guys, with New England guys for Buffalo. Could theoretically grab some Miami guys for Cleveland if we want. There we go. I'm obviously happy with the team. And Dak goes at 101 to a guy with no correlation. And we'll see if he figures out some correlation for himself later on. I smell Darnell Mooney. He smells great. He smells great. Though you might take Bowers. I like Bowers a lot. For this build, a big value at running back for a guy that I think should be ranked in the 70s. Have to take that. And Jayden, I had to take Jayden or Dak there. Like, one of them had to go to me, and I'm preferring Jayden. But really, though, like for this build, Dak, if you're not as in the bag for Jayden as me, you take Dak there. This is my bias coming through. You're going to see my bias when we show exposures at the end of the video. I don't hide my bias here. Been liking Brown / Ferguson / Dak week 17 stack lately. Yeah, it works. People like Ferguson a lot more than I do. I think Ferguson acquitted himself well. I think he immediately stepped in last year and was better than Dalton Schultz. The big issue for me with Ferguson is that Schumacher being out of minicamp, I think, is going to make it a little bit tougher for Schumacher to get where he can go. But Schumacher is a better athlete and is a guy that I thought graded out really well coming in. Obviously not as well as the other guys who were the top of the class last year, but he wasn't as far off as it might have seemed. So that's my concern for Ferguson. But obviously, I'm not mad at Ferguson. I think that he had a really good red zone share last year. Part of the issue for me with Ferguson, too, is that I think a large part of why his red zone share was so great, like he had a lot of targets directly in the end zone, was because they couldn't get the ball in with Tony Pollard. This year, I don't expect it to be as much of an issue. I think Zeke will be able to punch in some more touchdowns, and even Dowdle, if they give him some work, I think he'll be better than Pollard was last year. So that could hurt Ferguson a little bit, but I get it. I just think Ferguson in that last draft went in the 70s. I just don't think Ferguson is like that different of a play than Njoku, than Bowers. I think he's a lot closer to those guys than he is an Evan Ingram or something like that. You'd say that about Dak and Jordan Love for top 3 upsides. Yeah, I mean, I guess. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I think it's an easier path to top 3 upside for a rushing QB like Jayden. It's hard. Like, this is the thing that people miss a lot. And Ian Hartitz, I think, does a good job beating the drum, formerly of PFF, now at Fantasy Life, who I did a stream with last summer. At some point, I'll probably link up with Hartitz again, especially if we start doing guest bookings again here on Splash Play this summer. he really has put together a lot of great tweets highlighting, and people too, I think, miss it. If you run enough, like you're going to be a top 10 QB no matter what. And guys like Jayden coming in, like Jayden ran 10 times a game last year. And that was at a year where like he could have made a business decision like Drake made it to run less. He didn't do it. When you're running that frequently, like that's just such a Konami code to be able to leap up. Whereas like Dak and Jordan Love, they're going to run a little bit, but they're not going to run that much. So that's especially Dak in a contract year. Like Dak's not running 5+, I would think, let alone getting to 10. All right, so we have a 2250. Singletary is a bit of a screaming discount at this point. Cooks would correlate better. Goddard would correlate for our tight end here. I think we're going to take the tight end first. We're going to get the double for Jalen Hurts. Not the biggest Dallas Goedert guy, but enough sharp people like him. I shouldn't be blind to him. And now this is the tough one. I have Cooks ranked highly, but we need running back help at this point. I think we need running back help more than we need Brandon Cooks, which could come back to bite me in the ass in terms of game stacking. We're going to take Devin Singletary, though. So 3 RBs, 2 QBs, 5 wide receivers, 1 tight end. We've got Jalen Hurts and Jayden Daniels as my QB. Again, a QB room that I would kill a man for, I think, based on the results I expect to get this year. David Montgomery, DeAndre Swift, Devin Singletary at running back. Wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Smith, Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman, and a tight end, Dallas Goedert. So we got our 5 receivers in the first 75 picks. That's good. Besides that, we're holding off at receiver for a little bit, trying to make it up at running back, trying to make it up at tight end. Like the team is getting decently balanced as a result, at least relative to a 0 RB team. So we'll see what we can do. Singletary, because there are things you can do later. Yeah, I agree. I think skipping up the Singletary value was definitely it. And the Mathology horny correspondent S-tier bit. I agree. Mathology, one of the best. And he'll be on the stream at some point this summer. If you are one of the people that leaves probably my sports betting app, I'll put up the plug screen here too. If you leave my app, 5 stars interview on the App Store, you are guaranteed a guest hosting spot on Splash Play at some point this summer. So keep that in mind here. You either get one of the solo ones that we're doing over the next few months, or you'll be part of one of the marathon streams I do in August. So guest hosting spot, the 5 stars interview for probably on the App Store, and I'll leave it down in the pinned comments too. Really would recommend checking it out for your betting needs as well. Really the best product of the business, the more that I spend time with it, the more that I spend time writing it up for pitches to investors and stuff, the more confidence I gain with it too. So, and obviously the results too have been there in videos. This time last Friday, we went 5-0 on our top 5 bets and actually hit every bet I put in the YouTube video, besides the long shot home run bets that I also tack on. So, if you want those, that kind of, previous investments worked out. We have those results pretty frequently and probably, and because of the fact that I'm not out on one of these big platforms, so it's a haul to get people to check it out, but you should check it out. Probably.com/subscribe. Promo code SPLASH on there to get half off a month or a year. Tyjae Spears going at 129. Got to feel pretty good for that guy. At this point, with what the team has said, just shouldn't be a 30-pick difference between Tyjae and Tony Pollard. They've basically said as abundantly clear as possible. And I do think that Pollard will get a little more of the high value touches because they paid him the big money. But these guys are going to be treated as the same player. They're going to run the same routes. Brian Callahan wants to get them out there in the pass game against linebackers. Don't think he's doing the thing where it's like, we're going to play these guys out of the slot, which tends to be kind of a little bit of a hopium thing more than anything. But I would say for Tyjae and for Tony Pollard, like you're going to get good pass game work. One of these guys is going to be the better red zone back. It's probably going to be Tyjae, even if Tony Pollard's going to get the first crack. But really, they should flatten out. They should flatten out a lot more, and they're not. So if you scoop Tyjae at 130, you should feel great about it. Goddard's an ass man. Check out Aria Meyer. Oh, boy. Well, that's what Mathology is here for, and Mathology has been one of the longest standing members here. So who am I? Oh, she looks young. At least that first photo I saw does look young. All right, I'll pull up the page, Rolf. Here's Dallas Goedert's girlfriend for our guy Mathology. You can see here a loving embrace. I'm pointing out the loving embrace here that Mathology's talking about. Here's okay. She's very pretty, very pretty. Not seeing quite as much butt stuff as perhaps is implied. Does she have kids? Anyway, enough of that. Back to the draft. I know people. I know not everybody wants to leer at women on a stream. Oh, we got some nude eggs here. Some nude eggs around. I didn't feel like pulling up her page was like a nude egg at all, but perhaps you felt this way. A little bit of a tease there. You're looking at a nude egg, guys. You're looking at a nude egg. Kirko Chains going at 136. This guy better have some correlation. All right, he's got Drake London and Kyle Pitts. Thank God. Thank God. With how drafts have been going lately, if I saw Kirk Cousins go unstacked, I was ready to go fucking classic drafts today. But D-Mac here doing his thing. D-Mac 8 in this spot. Actually correlating his players, which is the dream for some people, it seems. A little porn at work is allowed. We're not in trouble at all. We know that. A little porn at work should be okay. When you guys are just giving me, I think you should leave quotes back. That's how I know. That's how I know you're in my tribe. Ben Sinnott also doing well in the girlfriend department. Didn't he have 2 girls on his arm at his draft? I guess one of them might have been his sister or something, but I think I saw an ETR clip talking about that. Ben Sinnott, quietly a dog, but you're going to be a dog when you're the best baller at Kansas State, because what else are you competing with there? Like fundamentally. And he was the alpha at Kansas State in terms of that, the results that he got on the field. And I'd like to believe he's a party animal. I want Ben Sinnott to be everything. I want him to be Van Wilder and a tight end's body. That's what I want Ben Sinnott to be. Devin Silva was a big fan of that. He was indeed. Picks coming up. Oh, okay. Do I want to look up Ben Sinnott's girlfriend? All right, Sydney Bolding. Well, let's see if we get Ben Sinnott, right? And then we'll look at his girlfriend to celebrate. Fucking Mooney. I can't get Darnell Mooney no matter what. He is a brute. Ben Sinnott is a brute. He's like a guy that was like a wrestler, I feel like, in college, like the way that he plays. All right, 2, 3, 5, 1 here. A lot of tight ends left. All right, so we could take Rico. Again, additional bet here, Philadelphia, Dallas. We're going to do that as part of it. Rico's going to be one of the picks. Cole Kmet would correlate here and would make me less Ben Sinnott dependent. Could also try to push Ben Sinnott, though I don't know that he's going to come all the way back to me. Pick 168 is a lot to ask for Ben Sinnott to come all the way back. God, I fucking love Marshawn Lloyd, though, and this would make this RB room real tight. Real tight. Oh, this is one of the toughest spots for me. Sinnott, Lloyd. Sinnott it is. Correlating both our QBs with our tight ends. We feel good about that. Marshawn Lloyd, we feel bad about not having him on the team, but we'll take and Ty Chandler ahead of Marshawn Lloyd. Not the move. 2-4-5-2 build here. So we're done at tight end, theoretically, done at QB as well. Jalen Hurts, Jayden Daniels, RBs, David Montgomery, DeAndre Swift, Devin Singletary, and Rico Dowdle. At wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Smith. So we have, again, I think not going to be a ton of Dallas-Philadelphia Week 17 out there because it's so hard to correlate that game together. People are just kind of blind to it in every room I've seen so far. So we're going to do that there. Terry McLaurin, of course, stacked up with our guy Jayden Daniels. Amari Cooper, not correlated with anything. Keon Coleman, not correlated with anything yet. Dallas Goedert, part of that Philadelphia stack. Ben Sinnott, part of that Washington stack. So to answer the question we talked about before, this is what you should be trying to do. We have double stacks on both guys. We have concentrated bets. Hopefully we'll find some bringbacks as well later on. That's what we try to accomplish here with our teams. Just wanted an excuse. I don't need an excuse to look at the girlfriend, but we did it now. So let's roll the clip of the girlfriend. All right, here's Sydney Bolding. Oh, an athlete. Oh, a volleyball athlete. Oh, Ben Sinnott. Oh, look at her funny caption, guys. December featuring my best friend. Get it, guys? She's her own best friend. Girls' captions. Always a delight. Always a delight. I thought for a second she was playing on drafters, but no, she just got drafted by professional volleyball team, I guess. All right. Good for Ben Sinnott. Now you guys know. Now you guys know the kind of dog that Ben Sinnott has in him. And we've confirmed it here live on Instagram. And now we can go back to the draft board. Jamal Murray remake. I think the Ben Sinnott video would look a little bit different, if I had to guess. If I had to guess, the pubes alone might look a little bit different for that version of it. X was a 6'1" volleyball player. Great I did not expect that comment from Bindles, but okay, great cheeks. Volleyball girls, you'll get no argument from me. Stumbled on a few in my day, though not when they were active in the volleyball world. Actually, the wife played volleyball, beach volleyball, while we were still dating. She was a regular beach volleyball player, but not at any sort of level. But does have the butt for it, if nothing else. Drafter over the last, but both nice. I agree. Definitely more of the traditional blonde beauty type Ben Sinnott's dating. Ben Sinnott, though, I got to tell you, man, like if you're going, and beautiful girl, if you're Ben Sinnott going into Washington and you're going to be a part of a team that I think is going to be a lot of fun, and that team, going to visit schools and stuff, which I think is honestly very cool. Jayden Daniels, Sinnott, and I guess the rest of the rookies went to some public school, and all the kids were like fawning. We're fawning over Jayden, but we're also fawning over Ben Sinnott, which I was like, these guys, I love these kids. If you're in a big city like Ben Sinnott is, and you're going to be a star player for a team that's going to be the most fun Commanders have been since they were playing with RG3, I really think that you're probably better off just being single, even if that's, what you're coming up to. But that's me. My ex just clicked Ben Sinnott. I hope she does. She's going to crush it. Volleyball shorts are the best, but could men pull them off? Could I wear volleyball shorts? Would they make me look equally as junk in the trunky? Find out. We probably won't find out. We could find out. I don't even want to read this out loud, Mathology. Wouldn't that be more thick legs? Like, wouldn't that be more like big girl, big calves kind of thing? Anyway, if you enjoy this kind of content along with your best ball drafts, where we're spending an hour and a half together doing drafts, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. Guarantee you're not getting that. A lot of these, you're not getting that on the 4for4 channel. You're not getting that on RotoViz. You're getting Sean Siegel and Colm Kelly talking about fat asses. Well, I'd say it's a pretty good derriere she's got there. I don't know if I'd take that derriere in round 4. I don't have a Sean Siegel impression or a Colm Kelly impression, but if I did, that would be them. Oh, Jayden, please. You got to get on the side of casual homoeroticism on the channel where people objectify me weirdly and want to see my nipples and stuff. That's where it's all at. You can pause all you want. Sometimes the boys just need to sexually harass each other to feel good about themselves. Doing the flock impression. I simply wouldn't draft a guy with a hot girlfriend. Draft a running back who we have no proof that he's ever been with a woman. I want these guys to be like monks in a chapel. Monks don't go in chapels. Monks in a temple. All right, Bucky Irving goes. Bucky would have been a nice pick in general. Luke McCaffrey's here. We're going to correlate him with one of these picks. Go for the triple stack with Washington. Everything else here looked kind of dog shit, if we're being honest. Malachi Corley. Oh, Malachi Corley. Buffalo Jets week 17. We'll do that. Tough RB room. I'll admit it. But we're going to do some picks that correlate. So we have a 2-4-7-2 here now. We need to, we're live for an Audric Estimate team, guys. We have Jalen Hurts, Jayden Daniels, David Montgomery, DeAndre Swift, Devin Singletary, Rico Dowdle. We got CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Smith, Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman, Luke McCaffrey, Malachi Corley, our bring back for Keon Coleman. We got Dallas Goedert and Ben Sinnott as well. It's a fun team. Got to have a lot of water carried by Montgomery and by DeAndre Swift, but it's a fun team. Freak 17 correlation. There we go. And it's giving week 17 correlation. Gen Z has now been fulfilled. We're not even going to say the word vibes. We just say it's giving. And Mathology, generous 5 memberships as well. Class, please. Thank you. Thank you, Mathology, for sharing with the class. And now we're 12 away from 100 members. So if you're not joining the channel, what are you doing, guys? The telethon goes on here on Splash Play. Of course, with your membership, though, if you are a new member, make sure to check the description. You can join the VIP Squirt Squad Discord, where I do drop the Spags rankings update. We do have some good conversation as well from the regulars on there. Also, get 10 team reviews from me a month, so make sure to submit those to me on Discord, ideally. But also, you can DM to me on Twitter, on Instagram, at Chris Spags as well. That is fine. And you also get my rankings coming out tomorrow. Did I say? Yeah, that's the third. Those are the 3 big perks, along with the reading of names coming up at the end of the video. So shout out to our new members. Shout out to the very generous Mathology and Bindles. I appreciate you guys, but I hope you both already know that very well. There we go. It's a pleasure. Some thank yous for Mathology. Love to see it. This is what community is all about, guys. We do some objectification. We give out some great takes, hopefully. Can't believe that Justin McMahon thing, though. The fact the guy was like doing a bit about like, oh, I just want to see who has the best player takes out there, and then he fucking tells me that he's just going to do his own book of player takes. When, to be clear, I don't think anybody gives a shit about that guy's player takes. That's been bothering me this entire draft. I know I mentioned it up top, but just insane. But I just think about the community though, and people tagging me and going, "Hey, Spags is one of the best player take guys out there." I very much appreciate hearing that from people, but the fucking griftiness of this space, man, like. I don't know. Would you guys want to read a book of my player takes? You want to see me do paragraphs about every player? If you want to give me another $20 each, I guess I'll do it myself. What a fucking douche, though. You need to go fund me to get Spags and Jayden. Yeah, at this point, we do. I'm too busy spending $2,500 a month to keep a fucking startup alive. You guys know for startups, the biggest thing that every startup person says out there, including like Y Combinator, who we did not get into, unfortunately, after getting an interview. So real kick in the dick for me this week. But for all the startups out there in general, what they say, your only goal is to keep your startup alive, because at any point you can hit that tipping point where all of a sudden it's making a ton of money and like it all makes sense. So imagine the pull on me, who's just doing these streams and probably every day for my income right now. Fucking $2,500 a month, man. So that's why I'm not buying a Jayden jersey. I'm always honest with you guys here. Funding a startup, one of the worst things I could have done for my life. But it was mostly because of Football Outsiders. Them fucking me on my day job made it so I had to rush probably out. But that's the unfiltered Spags you get an hour and a half in. I'm the most real person you will find in a best ball draft stream. That much I promise you. Because we're just showing me do drafts. I'm not trying to do shows every day. I'm trying to do interviews with people. I think it's to be a person. Get your takes every day. Thanks, Michael. Written out, though. I'm a fantastic writer. I just don't do it anymore because writing doesn't make you money. Which is sad. You hate to see it. The death of the writing game. What has happened in this room? Like, why is Deonta Foreman going to 187? Bryce going? QBs who never get drafted are going today for some reason. Did somebody do something stupid and take like 4 QBs? It might just be a bunch of dudes taking 3. No, only one guy taking 3. Huh. This room feels more bled out than it should be. It's really my main observation, but it's okay. 2 picks coming up for me at the turn. What are we going to do? Wouldn't have minded Tolbert, but don't know that we need him. Keaton Mitchell, I still have a candle on for, even though just not sure about that one. Man, this is, I think, just a grab random dude draft. I'm going to take Tank Bigsby to flesh out the RB room from one of these picks. I think he's the last valid player at running back in this particular room. You make your case for your Garendos and such like that. I'm not the biggest on that overall. Estimate, I think we can push. Honestly, Wandale's a pretty nice discount at this point. Do I value him more than one of the Miami guys? Why is Wandale falling in every room? Is he hurt right now? Is something weird with him? You know what? I'm actually going to get my Miami correlation at tight end. I'm going to go 3 tight ends for this one because to me, Goddard and Sinnott, I don't love Goddard. Goddard really disappointed me last year because he was so good the year before last. Now they've added a bunch more receivers, and I do expect her to be in a Kellen Moore offense, more concentration for A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Like, Kellen Moore offense is everywhere he has been a lot of feeding the top receivers, and the tight end just kind of gets there when the top receivers are covered. So I just don't love Goddard in a 2 tight end build, especially if he's your tight end 1. So we're going to take Jonnu here. So everything here is correlated, I believe, besides the running backs. So we have Jalen Hurts correlated with the Dallas stuff here. We have some Dallas involved. I could point out all the correlations. This might make your brain bleed a little bit, but I'm going to do it. So Jalen Hurts correlates here with Rico Dowdle. He also correlates with Terry McLaurin in week 16. He obviously stacks up with Devontae Smith. CeeDee Lamb is the week 17 correlation there. We then also have another week 16 correlation with Luke McCaffrey. We have the tight end stacked, another week 16 correlation with Ben Sinnott. For Jayden Daniels, we have the triple stack here where we have Terry McLaurin, Luke McCaffrey, and Ben Sinnott. We do not have an Atlanta bring back yet, so maybe we can solve that in round 18, not to spoil who I'm going to take. I would probably a favorite here that I have in round 18. Running back here for week 16, we have David Montgomery and DeAndre Swift. One running back hitting in that game would be hopefully enough to carry me through week 16. Singletary here doesn't correlate with anything. He would correlate if I take an Atlanta player for week 16. And then for Cleveland, we have Amari Cooper, brought back by Jonnu Smith. We have Keon Coleman, brought back by Malachi Corley for week 17. So densely layered correlation, which is the kind of thing I have the most fun doing. I've compared it to the Marie Kondo thing, which is, I guess she herself is not a thing anymore. But everything's so neatly organized when it's like, okay, we have our main game stack that has bringbacks. We have these micro things here for week 17. We then happen to have some week 16 on top of that. That's what I think is the most beautiful builds you can kind of make. This one could have been a little bit cleaner for sure, where if I had like gotten Mooney, maybe a Pitts or something in there, like it could have been a little more fun week 17 game stacky, but still think it's fun. Well, I didn't take Wandale. Chloe Barrett, for those playing at home, I guess we could just do it. Mathology did just give away 5 memberships, so if he wants to look at a butt for all of us, we can look at a butt. Chloe Barrett. I was like less busty Sydney Sweeney Hot Ones vibes in that one. Oh, she cuts her butt off there. Hiding the butt a little bit here. Is that Wandale? Yeah, there's Wandale. Look at that face on Wandale. That's a man that's very happy with his haul, I think, in the situation. There you go. Chloe Barrett. Once again, cheek's not on full display here, so I'm not sure what Mathology is seeing necessarily, but here we go. Oh, and Best Ball Moderate had it too. Everybody knows the Chloe Barrett thing, and she probably poops chocolate. It's all chocolate if you hold your nose, I suppose. One of the things of life. There really was the face of a satisfied man. That's a man who's like, yeah, I've been injured a lot, but hey, this is working out pretty okay, huh? But once again, though, if you're in New York, you're a Giant. Your Giant has had some big games. I don't know. I'd play the field. It was a just tap. It was kind of a just tap that look. The only one that's like more of that is when they're like in bed together and the guy's just like, ugh, just fucking tired. And the girl's like, you got one pick left here. No screaming needs. I think it's one more receiver at this point. We got our 3 tight ends, got 5 running backs, and I think Audric Estime went. No, Estime's not. Ooh, Estime's tempting as RB6. The team could maybe use an RB6, so we have some optionality here. But I won't reveal my hand yet. And exposure's coming up. The reading of names coming up, guys. So the usual Friday things will be hitting as soon as this draft ends. It's always funny. The second draft, I feel like, ends up taking an hour no matter what every time. The first draft breezed by. Second draft just chugging along as we look at butts. I don't think Pete would want to sell that shirt, unfortunately. It's all chocolate if you hold your nose. That would be one that I'd have to launch in our separate Splash Play brand. All right, so we got a few seconds here, guys. Here are my 2 picks. Rondale Moore would be another Atlanta bringback. Audric Estime, one of my favorite players overall, especially to close out a 6 RB build, 0 RB kind of build. Who would be your choice? Would you go Rondale or Estime? We'll see if the chat hears it in time. Estime, says Adam. Adam's a paying member. I do have to protect myself against getting too much Rondale Moore, I have to say, because I am pretty high. Shipley would have been interesting, actually. You know what? Interesting. Ronnie, Estime. Does seem like Estime won. But okay, so that's the final team here. We'll give it a read. as it just came through. A 2673 this time. We have Jalen Hurts, Jayden Daniels, David Montgomery, DeAndre Swift, Devin Singletary, Rico Dowdle, Tank Bigsby, and Audric Estime. We have CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Smith, Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman, Luke McCaffrey, and Malachi Corley. And then a 3 tight end build with Dallas Goedert, Ben Sinnott, Jonnu Smith. Interesting team, I would say, if nothing else. Exposures, let's see if we can get this to update because I have 35 entries in now. And that was my 35th BBM draft. There we go. All right. All my exposures on display here. So we are now under 50% Marshawn Lloyd, but my top 5, Marshawn Lloyd, 49% exposure through 35 drafts. Jayden Daniels, 46% exposure through 35 drafts. Terry McLaurin, 43%. That's got to come down, unfortunately, but man, I just fucking love Terry. Ben Sinnott, 40%. That's got to come down, but I'm getting my guys early because I think the price tags come up. And Brian Robinson, his price tags held flat, but I think he should come up as well over the course of camp. Top 5 is a Washington bet. So we're making our bed, guys, and we're going to sleep in it. We're going to sleep in it. At QB, you can see here my exposure is much flatter when it comes to not Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels, 46%. To me, QB should just be a reflection of your stacks and what's available at ADP. So Jayden, I'm going on my way for. Bo Nix, I'm taking as a value, though I don't think I took him at all this week. So we're coming back down on Bo Nix. Anthony Richardson, obviously happy to be there again. 2x the field on him. Honestly feels low. I think I would like to be 3x the field still for him this year. Jalen Hurts, Caleb Williams. Surprised to see myself this high on Jalen. Not surprised to see Caleb. Not surprised to see Kyler Murray. And cheap guys later, Kirk Cousins for the ATL inverse side of the Washington bet. None of that surprises me too much. My RBs, you saw Marshawn Lloyd at 49%. You saw Brian Robinson, 37%. I'm heavy on David Montgomery. He is a good start to a 0 RB build. Also a good RB2 and a hero RB build. I've got him at 26% right now. James Conner, 26%. Estimated 26 has to come down, but I still like the bet the most. I think if there is a Kyron in this draft at pick, round 17 or later, I just think it's Estime. I think he's got the potential to be on the field for pass down work. We've gotten that signal earlier. So to me, if he's going to keep going 17, 18, it's going to be hard for me to dial it off, even though I know psychologically I do have to. And Bucky Irving here would round out the real top 5. I guess that would be number 4. Bucky Irving and Zeke tied for 4, along with Brown and Swift. Concentrated here for me at running back. So I got to deviate from that a little bit. Let's see. Wide receiver here. Terry McLaurin, you saw him. Troy Franklin, I'm still heavy on. Dialing that back right now. My Denver exposure, I'm kind of letting sit because it's not the frothiest yet, and I would like to see more proof of life in July before I continue to make the Denver bet. Franklin looking okay in camp. Mims spoke highly about him as well. Nick's getting rave reviews from Sean Payton. He's working with the starters, though. Payton said not to look too much into that. So the Knicks part of it I'm okay with. I just want to be mindful of Franklin at his ADPs if I can buy a dip at all. Luke McCaffrey, here's my number 3. Again, the Jayden bet. That's a trickle down of that. Keenan Allen, I would need to level out my Keenan Allen versus DJ Moore, but we're not far off there. Bet on Chicago. I like Chicago. That's the bet. And Nico Collins tied for 5 with Zay Flowers. I'm shocked I'm that high on Zay, but I do scoop Zay as a discount enough, so that's probably it. Zay, Drake London, Marvin Mims are all my tied for 4th bet. And then 5th would be Neighbors, Amon-Ra, and DJ Moore, 17%. And this is why, too, Rondale just shouldn't have that much of a late round guy, I think. So I'm going to probably try to dial down Rondale a little bit more and get him closer to 8 to 10% exposure feels about right for that. 20% Nico. Yeah, Nico to me, look, I like Diggs more, but Nico's ADP is higher, and I don't get Diggs back to me enough. So that's sort of the issue there. Tight end, 40% Ben Sinnott. We saw him before. 31% Dalton Schultz, which is a big stand. I just don't agree with the price point for him. He's going to benefit so much from having wide receivers who get a ton of attention going their way. He's going to be just open in the end zone, like a lot. So Schultz, to me, a belief in the agnostic CJ Stroud ability, which is what CJ Stroud is best at. Jonnu Smith, again, cheap guy going late, took 2 shares of him today, so that's going to bump him up a little bit. Trey McBride, though, I'm right there with him as my number 3. Brock Bowers, despite a slow week of Bowers drafting for me, still one of my top 5 guys. And Jatavian Sanders, Sam Laporta round out my top 5 exposures at tight end. So That's my team, guys. Again, I show you everything here because what this stream is about. Obviously, you're going to hear me talk about football. You're going to hear me give takes. At a certain point, we'll have more guest hosts on, I'm sure, as well. But really, this is about my process, just showing you what I'm trying to do for myself. If you want to fade everything, go ahead. But really, this is just tracking my journey because I'm gonna win BBM, and you're gonna see it all on video go down. Again, promo code SPLASH and Underdog, $2 to $50 deposit match. Probably my baby. I will leave the link to the App Store in the pinned comments. Check out the 7-day free trial. Also, go just save money if you want to support the show. 50% off at probably.com/subscribe with the promo code SPLASH on there to get all of our betting info into your life. And it is great betting info and cheaper than the other stuff out there. You're literally paying $500 or $1,000 other sites for our data, which also performs better. So that's the reality of that. Stochastic, 15% off the promo code SPLASH. Drafters, I will be on tomorrow. This is not the last stream of the week. Saturdays now, you get me along with your cartoons at 11 a.m. So Drafters tomorrow, the $15 tournament. And I'll be giving away some entries on the show tomorrow as well. So tune in for that. 2 entries being given away. I'll figure out how I do it. Possibly just a chat MVPs tomorrow on the Saturday AM. And now the reading of names. So 78 names on here, 10 more added today, which we'll have to read next week. But shout out to all these fine folks that we put the show on. And really, $5 a month, I got to get like thousands of you in to make this all make sense economically. So hit that join button here, get my rankings every week, get also 10 team reviews a month, and of course the VIP Squirt Squad Discord that you get. But the reading of names here, any silly voices? No, I don't have a silly voice in me today. Robert Griffith III, Historical Anomalies, Matthew Emerson, Tyler, CLN, Mathology. Again, shout out to Mathology for the generous gift of 5 memberships. I got Rupesh, Willis is awesome, Ivan Black, Port, Mark here, a.k.a. Io, a.k.a. Tony Mark, Brandon Wagner, Consigliere, Aaron D, Nez, Jake Twitchell, Fucking Alpha, Mister, I Am the KY, Kevin Castro, Lateralis, Lunchable Connoisseur, Short Gamer TV, Felix Castro, Chunk the Deuce, Gabe Davis, Bindles. Shout out to Bindles again, 5 memberships. Really appreciate him. Go check out his YouTube channel. Frankie Frank, Nolan, Thomas, Spurious News, Laces Out, Kent, Jeff F, Christopher, Craig B, Hoosier Devo, Jason, Michael Thomas, Bodybag Jones, Jayden, Kyler, Wounded Geese, Jeff T, Steel City Blue, Thomas Avery, W for Omega, Tanner Wise, Benjamin May, C40, Mike Robb, Artillery Frost, Ben Bauer, Zap, Mike Rickle, D. Owen, Space Donut, Meat Wad, OG1 Kenobi, Kyle Zoo, Phelan Moosey, Nick Stevens, DQ, Touch of Green, Justin Dupengeiser, Eric Macklin, Ryborg, Adam, Mr. Poopy Butthole, Dylan Holzer, T-Wiss, Tim Saunders, Dylan Cords, Broncos 05, Joe the Show, Rough Buff Fire, all you beautiful motherfuckers who helped me put on the show this week, and I appreciate you for it. And again, you too can join and have me fucking slog my way through that on stream. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at SplashPlayPod. Back tomorrow with Drafters. Back Monday with another BBM. Hopefully, we'll see you guys then. Really enjoy your weekends, guys. We're in the summer mode, so get some time out there. Get some sun. Whatever you got to do. Get some fitness. I'll see you guys again. Enjoy your days, and good luck. Bye-bye.